So once again, I am recording this many weeks before I am going to actually upload or even probably look at editing it. So a lot of this will be old news. Therefore, I am trying to add in quite a few nuggets of stuff that isn't necessarily like recent news, but more just like stuff that I wanted to talk about. But something that is semi-recent to the date of recording is the Gabby Hanna like apology video. And I don't think this went that viral, thank God. I feel like she is not as much of a polarizing figure as she used to be, which kind of means that she's fading into obscurity, which I love. But nonetheless, I'm going to talk about it. And she is living in my head rent free because I'm annoying. So basically, the haps and the tea is she filmed this apology video, which is a very, I don't know why I have tweezers here. They're kind of broken as well. Look. Anyway, she uploaded an apology video that is very long overdue, and also people have mixed opinions on. I feel like if you accept it, or not accept it, because obviously nobody in the general public can accept it on behalf of anyone, because unless it's in regards to like, you know, her scamming her fans, it's not really like a public apology for the public. It's just a public apology for public figures. But the first I heard about it was, I think, Joey Graceffa responding to it on TikTok, basically saying like, I'm not speaking for anyone else, I'm just saying the part of her apology that was directed towards me, I am accepting, basically. But that part of the apology was her basically just apologizing for being an absolute fucking menace and unbearable and like just really difficult to work with on the set of Escape the Night, which she's been apparently known for being a bit difficult to work with outside of that as well, and that's why everyone, you know, kind of really leaned into the Escape the Night thing. But I just find it okay, like, listen, if I was, you know, in charge of a set for this YouTube series that I was doing quite a few years ago, and then Gabby was just like an absolute menace on set and just made it an awful time for everyone, and nobody enjoyed working with her, and she was just like creating so many issues for the shoot. But at the end of the day, you know, she brought in the views and she was really entertaining. And then she made an apology, like she did a bunch of other fuck shit. And then she came out with an apology video and apologized to me directly. Even if I accepted it from my end of it, like obviously Joey knows, I would believe he knows a decent amount of Gabby Hanna, because he jumped in the midst of when everyone was kind of like, I wouldn't say dogpiling, because she very much deserves it, and she has a history of very much fucking everyone over. Yeah, like he definitely has more information than just like what she did to him, or like how she affected his life on his set. You know what I mean? So, you know, so if I was him and, you know, I was in charge of that show and then she came out, even if I was, you know, going to accept my part of the apology, there's a very high chance that I know about the Jessy Smiles situation. There's just a very, like, there's nothing he can say that makes me believe that he doesn't know about the Jessy Smiles situation. And so, knowing the Jessy Smiles situation, in which basically Gabby Hanna is a rape apologist, there's a lot of it, like going through all the like itty bitty things that she did is going to take up so much time. But they're just obviously her supposed best friend, who was also her roommate at the time, was the victim of a special kind of attack by a viner, and quite a few people kind of like knew the gist about the situation. Anyway, Gabby Hanna, who was supposed to be her best friend, also Gabby Hanna just has, and I don't know if I've spoken about this, but if you look at her old vines, obviously back in the day, different time. But her old vines, the vibes that you get from her old vines, plus who she is and how she is handling herself in the present and within recent years, she's the same person. And like it just, the old vines kind of add fuel to the fire, because it's giving very much pick me energy. Like all of her vines is basically like her shaking her titties and like acting clueless in like a jumping jacks like video, you know what I mean? And it's like, again, like obviously that's still a thing everywhere and this, that, and the third, but I feel like within that time, like Vine back then isn't as insane as TikTok is now, if that makes sense. Like Vine back then was a lot more for kids. Like I feel like content in general was a lot more for kids back then, whereas like TikTok now, even though it is also supposed to be a kids app the same way that Vine was a kids app, there's a lot of stuff on there that very much is not for kids, even if it isn't like exclusively kids. Obviously nothing is exclusively for kids, but like you're just like there's a lot being exposed to children that they might not be able to kind of intake correctly at their age, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm saying anything in a correct way. But to be in that era, the Vine era, where everything was very much like skits, funny videos, like surface level humor, physical humor, and then she's, I don't know, like working out and like doing so in a singlet or a tank top, and then the guy on the other end who was supposed to be like giving her advice is like, you know, pumping lotion into his hand for a kid's app. And it's just like, obviously it's not that just that one the video. That video was funny for the time, but like it's just a lot of it was that flavor of content. I guess what I'm trying to say is that a lot of it portrayed her as like the it girl kind of vibe, and within her, like if you're looking at her behavior within the past few years and like in recent times, it's still good. Like she still seems like she thinks that she's the only person in the world that matters, and that's the correlation that I'm drawing between her old content and who she appears to be now. Anyway, the entire reason I was talking about why this apology video isn't necessarily the best thing that has ever existed, Jessy Smiles is not mentioned in this video at all. She is arguably one of the people that deserves, or the person that deserves an apology from Gabby Hanna the absolute most. She was supposed to be your best friend, and you decided to befriend, continue to talk to, continue to be friendly with, regardless of how you try and like manipulate the situation into making it seem like you were trying to do stuff for her, like you were trying to go undercover for her, like you were trying to back her up, when she was consistently telling you like, no, I just would rather you not talk to him. And especially now that you're telling me, like, that's just weird. You're supposed to be my best friend, you're talking to my rapist, and then you're telling me that you're talking to my rapist. Like, it's just a very weird situation. And I'm obviously very, very upset with you. I'm on the phone with you crying for hours, trying to like get you to think about just why that is just not, like, at the very least, why you shouldn't do that moving forward if I don't want you to do that. And at the end of the day, it's about Jessy Smiles. It is. It's got nothing to do with Gabby Hanna. She was just so desperate to make it about herself that she had to become the villain in order to be the center of attention. Not that she wasn't the villain to begin with, obviously, but like, that's her flavor of villainry. Like, she would rather be involved in everything, be the main character in every storyline, than just sit back and be a good friend, then be a good side character. Because she can't be a side character. She has to be the main character. And so to just not include Jessy Smiles in this massive apology video that is supposed to be like, I guess, a new chapter. Like, hey guys, I like finally had a breakthrough. I am like a straight man who has tried psychedelics for the first time and realized that women also have feelings and deserve to be respected. I am turning over a new leaf. I have realized that, hey, I am actually not the victim in every possible situation to have ever existed. Sometimes when people are mad at me, it's because I've done something wrong. And just because them being mad at me makes me feel bad doesn't mean that they are in the wrong. It was supposed to be like this brand new version of her that is supposed to be better and like growing and all this stuff. And you're not even going to include Jessy Smiles. Like, I get, maybe she apologized to her in private. Doubt, massive doubt. But unless, I guess, Jessy for some reason was like, hey, explicitly don't like talk about this and like to the public, she needs to not only apologize to Jessy Smiles in that video, but basically essentially go through what she did and why what she did was wrong. Because to basically sweep that under the rug, absolutely insane, crazy behavior. Like, the only way I feel like in which that could even be considered an okay video or like topic to kind of approach would to be sit down and be like, hey team, I had a best friend, somebody who, you know, considered me very, very close to them, possibly the closest person in the world. We lived with each other for a significant amount of time. I actually don't know how long they lived together. It might not be, but we lived together because we were so close. And they were also an influencer, they were also on Vine, that kind of vibe. And then this awful thing happened to her, and instead of, you know, being there for my best friend, my absolute bestie, instead of comforting her, instead of being this rock for her, I decided to go talk to the perpetrator. And then I masked that awful behavior. I decided to cover that up by saying I was trying to talk to him for her, which she did not want me to do. And I continued to be friendly with him, have a little chat, have a little giggle, and I would constantly make excuses because I was a terrible person, and I'm working towards not being a terrible person who would defend and befriend and be on good terms with and prioritize rapists over their victims, especially if it's supposed to be my best friend. So to not include that at all is kind of, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me, and it doesn't sit right with a lot of people, and it shouldn't sit right with even more people, is what I think. I saw this video on TikTok of an influencer. I wrote here that it's the influencer that left the party because of the, like, like go through this way if you have over 1 million followers, and this way if you have less than 1 million followers. If I'm remembering correctly, this is also the girl who like invited somebody who brought a +1, and the +1 made TikTok videos saying that the party was boring, like it was her birthday, you know what I mean? If this is the correct, I don't know. Because I didn't put that here. I don't know if it was just because it was like before then, or I like forgot about that situation, but it may or may not be the same influencer. But an influencer basically went to a party. There was a go through here if you have over 1 million followers, go through here if you're under 1 million followers. They had over 1 million followers, but they were just like, that's really weird, I'm leaving. And completely not to do with that video, they also posted a video of her walking around and with the caption, normalize all body types, and somebody reacted to that saying that her body type is literally the most desired body type, the most normalized, the most accepted. And then the influencer stitched it by saying, like, what do y'all think about this, basically? Which I thought was weird because everyone is obviously going to be on your side. This is your page with your followers, with your fans. And for you to be like, what do you think about this? People on TikTok are absolutely fucking brain dead. Like, you cannot rely on TikTok fans and followers who are children with attention spans under 3 seconds, who barely know how to read, coming on here with the mentality that every influencer that they ever come across, or that they ever follow, that they ever like, that they ever comment on the video of, is their best friend. And for you to say that, and obviously people are going to be like, bro, they're just overreacting, like, you're just trying to be body positive and all this stuff. Like, she's very thin with wide hips. Like, I don't, like, I'm sure you get the picture, right? And I understand that everyone, A, feels insecure about their body, and B, wants to be in on this body positivity movement, right? Because it's like a good thing. And also, you're insecure about your body, you would also like that kind of validation of like, there's nothing wrong with your body, right? But that's not what the movement was created for. And you understand that. You know exactly what it was created for. You know exactly where it started. And it's just another thing that people love to infiltrate and turn into like this thing about themselves. I think especially like, stitching that with the video, being like, what do y'all think about this? When the people who get the same feeling that I'm getting, like, don't really know how to articulate it very well. I don't know how to articulate it very well. Again, we're just TikTok users at the end of the day. But there'll just be, people who are like, like there's a reason why, thin women coming onto the internet being like, guys, we should normalize all body types. Your body type is beautiful. If you look like me, you're beautiful. Don't even worry. If you're fat and ugly and disgusting and foul and unlovable like me, like, you're really pretty. Like, the people who, are looking at that and being like, that something doesn't seem very right, compared to the, again, over 1 million followers that you have that are going to be in your comment section defending you, even though you literally don't know them. Stop doing that to strangers. They don't know you. Defending you because they're in love with you, because they saw a funny video, or because they saw a video and they're like, wow, she's really pretty, I'm going to start following her. They're going to be drowned out. You know what I mean? Like, it's just going to be a bunch of comments full of support and people completely just disregarding the entire point, if that makes sense. And like, again, a lot of people aren't able to articulate why I feel so icky. It's icky because thin white women have propelled themselves into the front lines of the body positivity movement. The movement isn't for them. If white women propelled themselves to the front of the Black Lives Matter movement and were like, hey team, I'm 20% African, you know what I mean? Y'all will get clowned on. Just like when white makeup artists were like painting their faces like darker colors and then like drawing the Black Lives Matter like fist on their face, like people made fun of them because that's a little bit silly, it's a little bit funny, right? How are you helping, team? How are you helping? I saw a video of you saying the N-word like 2 weeks ago. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's the same vibe. Like, the movement isn't for you. So yeah, I don't know if I said anything very well, but that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. Bye.